So you are wanting to kick your sugar habit. You've probably tried 100 things before. You've maybe succeeded and then you've gone back, but you're looking for something that will help you not only make changes, but be sustainable as well. So a lot of people, they've got a sweet tooth, they've got cravings, maybe around their cycle, or just as you get older, you start to crave a little bit more. If this is you, you're in the right place, because what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the 13 reasons of why you crave sugar. So it's kind of like the underlying stuff. So I kind of look at it like we can all work on willpower, and that's what you said. Oh, just don't eat it, like just go without it. That is really hard to do when you have that intense sugar craving. Like I could drive 50 miles to get something. And in fact, when I was younger, I hated cigarettes, right? And my sisters smoked, but I couldn't drive. And so if I wanted to get my sweet treat, my sister would make me smoke with her, so then she'd drive with me and to get my lollies. That's how much I crave sugar, is to have something disgusting like a cigarette to then get my sweet treat. And I would do that. So this is how much I've kind of come from sugar and how I've evolved over the years to where I am now, that I can take or leave sugar. It's not really an issue. These 13 reasons, there's a few of them which have been a game changer for me. Understanding the underlying cause of why you could be craving that sugar rather than working on your willpower, coming back to your biology, coming back to physiology. Man, that's so much easier than working on your willpower. Okay, so we're going to dive into the 13 reasons. And the first one is a really low-hanging fruit, and it is hydration. Now, I know, yawn, boring, yeah, whatever. But research is really clear that if you are chronically or acutely dehydrated, you're more likely to end up eating more, and that's going to be more carbohydrate based. You're just going to be reaching for more. So it's kind of like your brain can't really distinguish between thirst and hunger. And when it's thirsty, you think you're hungry and you go for that. So I've got a lot of notes here today, so I'm just going to be looking down as we talk. So, but basically how this shows up for you is throughout the day, maybe mid-morning, maybe mid-afternoon, and you're just not satiated. Like you just feel like, even though you're full, you just feel like something else. So try giving hydration a go. This could be a really like low-hanging one. It could actually curb the craving. So aim for about 2.5 to 3 liters a day. If you're going from drinking not much to drinking a lot, or maybe you are drinking a lot but you're peeing out a lot, like you're like, it's just going straight through me, it means that you're not absorbing that water. So we do need a pinch of salt. I like Celtic sea salt or Himalayan salt, just to help that help the water absorb, because we can't just absorb the water. We need the sodium and the potassium to actually come into our body and hydrate us. So some people, and I found this a lot, especially in sports people when I was doing rugby players back in the day, is that they would be drinking enough, but they'd be peeing it all out. And quite often, if you've got a filter on your water, I love filters, don't get me wrong. However, you need to be replacing the sodium and potassium just so you're having enough. And also I see this in a lot of people who have a really, really clean diet, like no processed food. So they're not getting the salt in any other way. They need a little bit of salt in their water just to help absorb it. This is the first one off the rank. It's really easy to do. Tips to help you drink more, because some people find it really hard to drink, is wake up and have 600 mils of lemon water when you wake up. Just have that as a start. Lemon water, pinch of salt, down that. I like put lukewarm water, so I put it like maybe a third of boiling water in there, just to, because it's not so cold. Have that as a start. So at the start you might pee out heaps, but your body will slowly get used to it if just that's what you do when you wake up. And then invest in a cool drink bottle, one that you love, one that fits in your car, you know, the cup between the car. No use having this big ass drink bottle and then you can't sit into the car and then it's everywhere. So something that you can have on your desk, something that you just really love. Invest in one of those and have it sitting there, because if you see it in your line of sight, you're more likely to grab it and drink it. A cup we kind of ignore, but if it's a nice colour, there's something about that drink bottle big enough that you just then end up drinking it. So it's kind of like putting it in our line of sight, so it becomes easy rather than thinking about it and having to be more difficult. If you don't like those and you're working from home, set a timer every 20 minutes and just remember to have a couple of sips of water. Make up ways of which you like to drink water. Another tip would be, if you're drinking lots and you find that you're peeing all night, have a cutoff time around 3 p.m. to have all your water in before then, and just taper off the drinking after 3 p.m. because some people are quite sensitive on that side of things. But if you are peeing through the night, check your sodium intake as well, because you may be low on sodium and you need a little bit more there. So that's reason one is hydration, and that's first off the rank. But so we look at two, we are looking, and I see this so much within women, especially going into perimenopause, is they're not eating enough protein. And so what happens if you're not eating enough protein, it's called the protein leverage effect. If you're skipping breakfast, you're maybe even skipping lunch, by the afternoon, your body's going, hey, you haven't fed me enough protein. But instead of craving the protein, we crave quick fixes, and that's when the carbohydrates come in there, and then we're like really intense. Or it could be that you're filling up, like you haven't got a higher protein breakfast, because most breakfasts, typical breakfasts, are not protein. They're really carbohydrate based, and it doesn't keep you satiated. And then you kind of start these blood sugar highs and lows, and you start craving that sugar. So having protein at breakfast can be the biggest game changers, especially if you're perimenopause or in your luteal phase. That's a phase right before your period if you're craving lots then. Try give up your protein, because we need more protein in our luteal phase. That's about a week to 10 days before our period. We need more protein. And if you're not eating that more protein, it's going to send signals to your brain saying, hey, you're not feeding me, but we're going to be reaching for the carbohydrates. So quick tips on that is just start with eating a really high protein breakfast. Now, if you're not eating breakfast and you are a female, especially if you're above 35, you've got to start eating breakfast. You really do. That's going to help with so many other things. I can go into that more, but we haven't got time here. But eating a high protein breakfast, and if you really want to fast at the end of the day and overnight rather than overnight and then at the start of the day. So high protein breakfast, you're aiming for around 30 to 40 grams per meal, depending on what age you're at and what your activity level's at. But if you're not eating much protein, start with 30 grams, get that into you, and then start raising it after that. And I can guarantee it's going to be a game changer for you. In terms of how much protein that is, just think of a palm size. I've got a full course on protein. Eat enough protein, and yeah, that could just curb a lot of your cravings. Okay, number 3, this is a big one, you're eating too many processed foods. So it's kind of like you're overfed because you're eating lots, but you're starving because you're not providing your body with the right nutrients. And then when you don't have the right nutrients, you start craving different foods because your brain's going, hey, you haven't fed me, you haven't fed me, you haven't fed me. You might be physically full, and this is what it kind of presents with. You're really physically full, but you're still craving something. You still want something else there, and you're not satisfied until you get that really big sweet treat. And that's quite often because you're eating a lot of processed foods. Processed foods lighten up our brain, like with the dopamine receptors and everything, and it leaves you craving more. And so therefore you're in this cycle. Now, with processed foods, it's a really hard-ish one, because a lot of people say, oh, I'm just going to go no processed foods, and that it can really work. However, it doesn't work for a lot of people, and what I'd say is add in rather than take out. So have your salad, have vegetable sticks, have something beforehand, whole unprocessed foods, an apple with peanut butter. Have that first and then allow to have processed foods. What you'll find is that you will start not eating as many processed foods. So rather than be elimination and restriction and then all the brain things that come with that, and then you've got this whole emotional thing going on because you didn't do it and all the rest of it, just start adding in. Just think, okay, no, before I have whatever I'm going to have, I'm going to eat whole foods, plants, fiber, and that's going to be amazing for you. So add in rather than take out. Upgrade your food. A lot of people think that healthy food or the whole foods are really not flavorful. Use herbs, use spices, just spice it up, cheeses, just get that into you, because that's going to increase your flavor, which is going to help with all the dopamine receptors and everything in your brain, rather than boil to heat vegetables. Oh, gross. I don't like that either. Like, no, if you're boiling your vegetables and you think vegetables are gross, of course they are. But if you're doing them nice with lots of flavor, tamari, some garlics, oh, they make it so much better. So add in rather than take out if you've got a lot of processed foods in your diet. So that's reason number 3 why you may be craving sugar. Number 4 is is an interesting one. It's keto and fasting. I'm a big fan for some people, keto and fasting. However, a lot of people ruin their metabolism because of it. They don't do keto well, they don't do fasting well, and then therefore your metabolism basically gets a little bit fucked up. Excuse my language, but that's what happens. So coming back from this can be a little bit more difficult. However, it is doable. And it's just retraining your body, retraining your physiology to have and use those carbohydrates and to have and use the protein as well. So if this is you, if you've been on kind of like this yo-yo dieting and you've been keto and fasting and you just keep on piling on the weight and it's getting less and less and you keep craving and the craving's getting a lot worse, then it's time to reset your metabolism. And that starts with eating breakfast. And it's a high protein breakfast. You don't need to start with a full carbohydrate breakfast, if you've been lots keto, but start adding grains and legumes into your mid-meal day and just start satiating yourself that way. Your body's probably craving this, especially if you have been keto for a while and you are craving a lot of sweet foods. Just listen to your body, but instead of giving it the sugar-based foods, pre-plan and give it the grains and the legumes and the foods that your body can digest. So even if you start with a little bit, because sometimes it's a mental thing with people being on keto and fasting that they're eating too much or they're eating too many carbohydrates, because I thought carbohydrates is this big baddie. That's if it's whole foods, whole plant-based foods, you're going to be doing well. So just add a little bits and you're retraining your gut, retraining your microbiome to actually handle those. So start with little bits and just build up from there. Another really good one to add into there is the sauerkrauts and the fermented foods. Just having a little bit of that can be really good to start retraining your gut as well. Stop fearing carbs. Carbs are not your enemy. Sugar, yeah, we want to stay free from sugar. But in terms of the whole unprocessed carbohydrates, they're not your enemy. Let's start retraining your metabolism. Okay, let's go on to reason 5. And this was my big one, actually. It was sleep. It's kind of a non-diet related one. But when you don't sleep well, you might be getting enough sleep, but your quality of sleep is really low. Or your quality of sleep is fine, but you're not getting enough, or the consistency is out. It plays havoc with our hormones. So when we rest, our hormones, the slate gets wiped cleaned and all our hunger hormones, insulin, respond way better. When we don't get enough, that's when we can start craving, especially for a lot of my clients, it's been in that kind of 3-4 o'clock where they start to feel a bit tired. They need that increase in dopamine, their hunger hormones get out of whack, and that's when they start reaching. Now, this is a really difficult one, right? Because if you are not sleeping well, this is going to happen to you. So the first thing is a kind of the long-term strategy. We've got to get your sleep sorted. So it's looking at some your wind down routine. We're looking at your stress, your journaling, those sort of things to help. We're looking at your sleep environment. But we're also looking at what you're doing, your circadian rhythm. So getting some sunlight in your eyes when you wake up. So it's not just about your wind down routine, it's what you're doing when you wake up as well. So work on your sleep. And once you got that sorted, then the cravings will decrease. In the meantime, though, because that can take a little bit to get into that pattern, have some things on hand which can satiate you without tipping you into this blood sugar roller coaster of having the really, really sugary foods. So my big favorite is avocado mousse. Try that. Have things on hand which you kind of go, yeah, that will satisfy my craving, but not be so bad for you that you're going to be like on this sugar high roller coaster and then not sleep well and that cycle begins. So work on your sleep, long-term strategy, have things ready, pre-prepared, planned if you're not a good sleeper. So therefore you reach for those sort of things. The other ones which I really like too is if you get protein bars, they can be quite expensive, but you get them on sale, cut them up into 4 or 5 pieces, chuck them in the freezer, and just have one of those just to curb that appetite and then go on with your day. So all these little things can be really, really helpful. But sleep can be, it was one of my game changers. Once I realized that when I don't sleep well, I crave, then what it did for myself was that instead of like thinking I was terrible or thinking that I didn't have any willpower and like all the mental shit that comes with when you reach for the chocolate and finish the whole block or the whole packet of biscuits, instead of doing that, like I'd be like, of course my sleep as well, so what am I to expect if this is going to happen? So I will have the things that still satiate that craving, but without finishing that block of chocolate or even going into that block of chocolate. So have things on hand. Number 5, work on your sleep. Number 6, this again is a bit of a long-term one, but when we've been eating a lot of sweet foods, our microbiome is the after effect of what we've been eating, what thrives in our gut. So if you all of a sudden go, I'm going to give up sugar, and you're not working on your gut, then your gut microbiome's going to be, hey, you need to be feeding me this. It's kind of sending signals to your brain saying, you need to be feeding me this. You need to be feeding me that chocolate. You need to be feeding that cake. You need to be feeding me that ice cream. So your gut microbiome is kind of like controlling, essentially. Now, we live in a symbiotic relationship with our gut microbiome. They help us, we help them. So what we want to do is eat foods that make the really good beneficial bacteria thrive. And the quick way to do that, your microbiome can change in 3 days. So this one here, it can be a willpower for a period of time, but then after a while, those cravings will cease to exist and you will crave good food. 3 days, and you're looking at prebiotic foods. So you're looking at prebiotic foods, whole food, plant based. Good ones, I really like sweet potato or kumara. If you boil them up or steam them and let them cool, and then either cook them again or just eat them cold, that is really good, the way that the starch, great prebiotic fiber. But you're also looking at apples with skins on, those sort of things. Get lots of prebiotics in you, a diverse range. So you're looking at a diverse range of plant foods. Seeds and herbs are really easy to get into it. Have a look at the granola recipe in the recipe book, because, I mean, if you chuck as many as you can, and like I do, you're getting probably 10 to 15 plants in that one serving for breakfast. How good is that? Add a whole lot of nuts, add a whole lot of seeds, add the cinnamon, the spices, and you'll be getting a really big range of really good food to start your day, which is really good. But diverse range of plants will really, really change your microbiome there. And the other one, if you're really struggling, is it's probiotic foods. I love probiotic foods. It just a little bit sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, kimchi. Just have as a little side. So maybe one day, instead of grabbing your 5th copy, grab a miso. Just small changes like that can really help. For one of your dinners or one of your lunches a week, have tempeh. Have that. It's a fermented soy. It's great. It's so easy to just cook up and do with tamari. Amazing. Other ones is just to have sauerkraut. If you can make your own, it's really simple. If it's a bit too much, because sometimes it can be overwhelming, go and grab one from the supermarket. However, just make sure that it is in the refrigerated section. Don't go grab the one off the shelf. It's been pasteurized and all the good bacteria is gone. You want to get the one that's in the refrigerator. So generally those ones are really good, and it's teeming with probiotics, which is really going to help your gut change the way that your gut is, which then will change the signals to your brain, which will then help you stop craving. So it seems really basic, and it is really basic. However, sometimes it's not that easy to do. But if we retrain, especially this one is like the willpower for a period of 3 or 4 days, and then keep going, as consistency with the prebiotic, the probiotics, polyphenol foods as well, grapes and legumes, amazing for your gut. So just keep with a whole food, plant-based. And when I say plant-based, I'm not saying that you got to be vegan and eat no meat. I'm just saying half of your plate should be whole foods, should be plants. So whatever the rest, cool, but though just make sure that for breakfast, lunch and dinner, you're having a lot of whole food, plant-based foods. Okay, reason number 7, you are low in key nutrients. So this kind of comes hand in hand with sometimes the microbiome and the processed foods, having lots of that. Key nutrients can then make us crave different foods. So making sure, the biggest ones I see with women is magnesium, making sure your magnesium's good, making sure your vitamin D is good. Those are the two, and iron as well, obviously. So those two, especially if you're craving chocolate and you're craving chocolate around your period or that 1 or 2 days around ovulation. If this is you might need to just increase your magnesium. Get the best form of magnesium though. So don't want magnesium oxide that's just going to make you have loose stools and go to the toilet more. But you're looking at magnesium glycinate. That's probably the best one to have before you go to sleep, and it's going to help with the sleep as well. But key nutrients can be a game changer. So for this here, just start having a lot more whole foods, plant-based in your diet. If you're having that with every meal, so you get nuts and seeds in the morning, salad at lunch, salad at dinner, make them spicy, something that you love, then you're going to be on the right path to having your sweet tooth just being overpowering for you. What else? Consider blood work if it is. If you have been eating a whole lot of processed foods for a while, you're really struggling with your energy, just get some bloods done of the key micronutrients, so your zinc, magnesium, your iron, and your B vitamins. So get those ones done just to see where your level's at. Or another one where you can do is go on Chronometer and have log your food for, I'd say you're looking at 7 to 10 days, log everything you're eating, and then you can actually see if you're actually intaking the amount of nutrients that you need. That'll give you really good feedback. So start there with increasing your whole food plant-based, and that'll help. Or you can, some people take a micronutrient. Eh, Absolutely, that can be a good way of a short-term fix. I wouldn't do it long-term, but for a short-term fix, just to help increase your nutrients, perfect. But make sure it is whole food based too. I just really love whole food based supplements as well. Reason number 8, for women, this is a big one. Your hormones are in the driving seat. So where this shows up is the week before your period, week to 10 days before your period, and sometimes too that 2 days around ovulation, 1 or 2 days around ovulation, your craving is out the gate. So it could be because of protein, but if you're having enough protein, you're still getting those cravings. When estrogen goes down, and estrogen decreases as we get into our end of our cycle, and it also kind of drops just after ovulation, and our progesterone it starts dropping as well. Either the drop or it being low can trigger our other hormones, our hunger hormones. It can trigger our insulin, and be less insulin resistant, so less insulin sensitivity, and which can then make you crave more. So this one's a big one for me. My hormones are definitely in the driving seat. I can be really great, and then I go into my period and I'm just like, holy shit, I just need that chocolate. So with this one here, there's a couple things you can do. Is that, again, increase your protein, as we talked about in number 2. But the second one is having things on hand. You know what's coming up. I know what's coming up. So I can either not do anything and then be running down to the supermarket to get a block of chocolate, or I can have my avocados ready. I can have the raw cacao ready. So with this one here, although in the cookbook I do a lot with stevia and monk fruit, which don't raise insulin, I'm fine having maple syrup in this time. For me, I kind of let that slide because I know it's only a small period of time. It's not relying on it. So you'll find what works for you. Having, for me, the maple syrup and the chocolate mousse, that suits me just fine. And I have maybe 1 or 2 days of it, and then it's fine. But I'm also having the good fats in the avocado is great for your hormones. So I'm kind of I'm doing other stuff that's helping me through that period as well, rather than grabbing the block of chocolate or grabbing the biscuits, the lollies, and then just feeling like shit, because then that increases my fatigue, and then I feel more sluggish. And when you understand your body and you get to know your body a little bit better, I know for me, and I know that you can do this too, is that once you start checking in, I can then decide, oh, like really bad sweet craving right now, and you have a pause and you go, okay, do I want that block of chocolate, or am I going to make that avocado mousse? I know if I have that block of chocolate, I'm going to be shit for the rest of the day, and probably the next day. I kind of get a sugar hangover now. I know that people laugh at me saying that, but I really do get a sugar hangover when I've overeaten. I mean, when I have chocolate, I have a lot of it. So the next day I'm struggling. So I know that. And so I pause and I go, okay, do I want that? What's coming up? Can I afford that for the rest of the day? Can I afford that tomorrow? And some days I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to have it. But most of the time, I'm like, I can't afford to do that. I've got so much stuff going on right now. I'm going to choose to have the chocolate avocado mousse. That's my go-to at the moment, but everybody has their different go-tos. And that'll curb the craving, and I'm going to feel like amazing for the rest of the day, and I'll still be good tomorrow. So you kind of have that choice, but I wouldn't have that choice if I didn't know that having the chocolate and how it made me feel that night and the next day. So once you start checking in with your body more and understanding how food makes you feel, then those pauses can actually give you perspective of which way you want to go. But track your cycle, understand your body. Women were never really taught it, but understand where you are in your cycle. There's heaps of good apps out there. I use Flow, and I'm not affiliated with them, but there's heaps of them out there. So track your cycle, making sure you know exactly where you're at. And sometimes when it comes, like, you'll just be like, oh, that's right. Rather than beat yourself up that you've got this sugar craving and you're going to give into it or whatever, you kind of just go, oh, yeah, of course, I'm coming into my period. That's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to choose to have this. So Yeah, the biggest thing is understand your body. Reason 9, I see this a lot with people who really do a lot of activity. You're not refueling right after training. So in your 20s and your 30s, this often people can get away with this. They can go for a run, they can fast all day, have lunch, have dinner. They're all good. Fine, great. They may, if they go through a period, they maybe put on a little bit of weight, they cut their calories, increase their output. However, when you start to get into perimenopause, or sometimes in that luteal phase if you're cycling for some people, this does not work. So you finding you're cutting your calories, you're exercising more, and your energy's going down. You're putting more weight on you, especially around your belly, and your sweet tooth is just out the gate. And you keep on doing the same thing over and over because it worked. It used to work, but it's stopped working now. So if this is you, we've got to get you refueling around your training. And this can be a big kind of mind shift because you're so used to not having anything to eat and fasting and it working. It's not working for you now. So you need to change and just do it for 4 weeks. Trust me, you're not going to put on so much weight. Start eating, start refueling yourself around your training, especially if you're doing lots of running or mountain biking or things like that, swimming. So what I say about refueling, you want to not go into your workouts fasted. You want some protein in there. So normally I say around 15 grams of protein and a little bit of carbohydrates. Yes, we need carbohydrates in there as well. We need to provide that signal to our brain that you're not starving, because if we don't do that, all the hormones that then affect that later on, it just means that you're going to survival mode and we're hanging on to all the food that we can have. Our energy goes down and it's not fun, and our sweet craving goes up. 15 grams of protein, 5 grams of carbohydrates before training, and then after training, if you've done a lot of running, you want a few more carbohydrates in there. Otherwise you want protein. So if you've been doing a weight training, get 30 grams of protein in there. Even if you've actually been doing something for 40 minutes or so, you want a protein in there, 30 grams, and then have some, have a banana or something like that, have some fruit just to get some carbohydrates in there, signals to your brain that you're not starving. This one thing for women who have been fasting and they go into their 40s and it stops working, they keep on doing the same thing, except they get more restricted in the diet and more exercise. They change that up. They change their food around their training and they're like, wow, I've got more energy. My weight's dropping. I don't get the sugar craving in the afternoon. This is a game changer. It is a game changer. So if you have been going on this theme just because it worked in your past of cutting calories, not refueling around training, please stop. Please stop. Just do it. I know it can be a mind kind of stuff. Do it for 4 weeks. I can guarantee you'll be feeling so much better. So much better. Almost there. Number 10 is a habit. You're in this habit loop. Say you have dinner, and if you grow up with having dessert after dinner, I grew up on a farm, so after dinner we always had dessert. My mother had dessert. My grandmother would make, custards and ice cream and apple crumbles, and you always had something sweet after dinner. However, now we don't tend to make things. We tend to just grab the chocolate biscuits and we have this loop. I've finished dinner, I have something sweet, and you're just craving it. So we've got to stop this habit loop. It also, habit loops can also come up in location, like when you're driving in the car and you're going on a long road trip. It's just a habit for you to have a pack of lollies in it. Or if you drive past your coffee shop and you know that coffee with 3 sugars in it, yeah, you're not craving coffee, you're craving the sugar. And so you have that, and that's a habit loop because you're driving past the location. So with habit loops, we've got to stop it. We've got to cut it. So think about when that habit is coming up. Is it time, like after dinner? Is it location, driving past your coffee shop? If it's driving past your coffee shop, drive around a different way. Honestly, go a different way. Don't drive past your coffee shop. Start breaking that habit loop. If it's after dinner, so after dinner is the big one, we've got to extend that time. So how you do this, you can do it a number of ways. Some people have really good success is that they eat their dinner and then they brush your teeth and go for a walk. So that's kind of the new signal going to your brain. I've had dinner, I brush my teeth, because after you brush your teeth, you don't want to eat something because it doesn't taste that nice, right? So that's a way to create pause. Go for a walk around the block, do something new, do something like that, and that can break the habit loop. Another one of my clients felt really good success in this is what they did is afterwards, they feel the craving coming on. Yeah, okay, acknowledge it. They just started playing a game. It's how long can it take me to not into that craving. So they'd go upstairs and lie in their bed. Now they'd lie on their stomach, and I think it was just like a comfort thing. Or if you've got a weighted blanket, put that on. Lie on your stomach, put that weighted blanket on you, and just time yourself. How long can I go until I give into that craving? Do it every day. It will get longer and longer and longer until you get up one day and you'll be like, I don't actually feel like anything anymore. It works for some people, so give it a go. Finding that way to break that habit loop and know it's just a habit loop. So this is the thing too, right? Is once you know it's habit loop, when it hits, instead of going, no, I need it, I actually need it because I need it. You can go, I need it, but it's just my habit. Okay, so can I do something else? So breaking that habit loop is the key. So find out when you're craving things and just go about ways of breaking that habit loop. Okay, let's talk about number 11. Number 11 is that you're really stressed out. Now, a lot of people will go, no, I'm not stressed. Most of us are stressed. I mean, even lights on at night, screens on, that is a stress on your body. Running around, driving kids around, the high pressure work, or even just working for 8 hours a day, that is a stress on your body. How do you know it's stress? What normally happens here, it's kind of like, it kind of goes in line with the sleep as well, is that you're waking up at 3 a.m. in the morning, you're like, bing. That's a really big indication that your cortisol is out of whack, and that's waking you up, and we need to reset those rhythms, or you can't go to sleep. So sleep is linked in with this one. So if you know that actually I am quite stressed and I need to work on this, create a stress toolkit. So with breathing is really, really good. It's so underestimated, so easy to do, but people don't do it because it's so easy. So create a checklist and breathe for 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day if you don't have 10 minutes. Big belly breath down into your diaphragm, expanding that, longer exhale. These things can really work. I know you'd be sitting there going, whatever, it's too easy. Try it and tell me if it doesn't work. That's going to lower your stress, which is going to help your cortisol, and cortisol has links to us craving more and all our hunger hormones. So work on your stress and go from there. But we're trying to reset our nervous system here. This is a kind of long-term strategy, and it's kind of in conjunction with working on sleep as well. Okay, 12. This kind of goes in line with the keto one as well, but your metabolism's burnt out. So if you've been yo-yo dieting like all your life, like you go on a diet, you come off, you go on a diet, you come off, your metabolism probably a little bit burnt out, and your body doesn't know what the fuck's going on. So we've got to be working on this, providing nourishing food. We've got to be doing the timing. You don't want to be fasting. I do like fasting in some situations, but if you have been yo-yo dieting and you're not providing your body with that safety, then fasting is probably not going to work for you. And in fact, it's only going to make things worse. So let's fix your metabolism first, and then later on, let's start the fasting. So how do you fix your metabolism? Basically, you want to be eating enough protein. Just narrow your focus. If you're like, okay, I've been yo-yo dieting all my life, I do think I've got a problem here. Narrow your focus to protein. But instead of thinking that in terms of protein, let's flip your mindset and go, I want to make sure my muscle is good. Muscle is, as Dr. Lyon says, the organ of longevity. If we can maintain our muscle mass and we can keep that on, and no, if you're going to eat protein and go lift weights, you're not going to get buff. There's this like thing in people's minds, if I do this, I'm going to get really buff and look gross, because I've seen women who are really big muscly and they don't want to be like that. You're not going to get buff. That takes freaking years to do. So that's not going to happen to you. So eat enough protein first and protect your muscle. So have the mindset, I'm protecting my muscle. Eat enough protein, which is around minimum 1.6 grams per kg of body mass, or ideal body mass if you're overweight. Do that, and that will help you with so many other things. It will help reset your metabolism. Again, this is not a short-term fix. This is a long-term fix, and this is a sustainable way to eat, because as we age, we need more protein. Our ability to absorb that protein and digest that protein gets less, so we actually need to eat more. So as we age, getting into our 50s and our 60s, I would be upping that to around 2 grams of protein per kg of body weight. If you're America, it's 1 pound of protein. No, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So eat enough protein, protect your muscle, have that mindset switch of I want to protect my muscle rather than I want to lose weight. That can be a game changer too, just that mental mindset. And then you also want to have a look at doing fiber first for every meal. So think instead of, so it's the order that you're eating your food in. So instead of, if say you got a plate, you've got, I don't know, you've got some potatoes on it, you've got some meat and some vegetables. Instead of eating the potatoes, the meat and the vegetables, have the vegetables first, have the fiber first, then eat your proteins, and then have the carbohydrates at the end. So have that in that order. That can help to reset your metabolism. And the last thing too is after you've had a meal, do some sort of activity, whether that's a 10-minute walk around the block, whether it's a few calf raises, some squats, just something really simple. Not you're going to get up a sweat, it's just doing some sort of exercise. Even just do some cleaning. Like cleaning is actually really, can be a really big activity. Just do something that you're moving your body rather than having a big meal and then going and sitting down. Move your body. So protein, veggies first, and move your body. These are the things to reset your metabolism. If you have been yo-yo dieting and now all you need to do is look at some lollies and you put on weight, this is what you do. It's not going to happen overnight, but you will start to reset your metabolism and you'll start to feel better. Your weight will get better. Even though you're not working on weight, you're working on your muscle. And you have more energy and just feel way better in your body because that's what it's all about. Just feeling freaking great in your body. To use the language again. I'm from a farm, so we swear a lot. Okay, number 13. This is the last one, and this is a little bit more, I guess, woo-woo, but it's very real. It's emotional. So there's emotional, like it's, the comfort eating. Like you feel sad or you feel lonely and you grab something just so you can replace those emotions. So this is, again, this is a long-term one, but it's understanding your emotions and not hiding from them, but saying, yeah, every time I feel stressed or every time I feel lonely, I grab this sugary item. Understanding yourself is a big. So carry around a journal, and whenever those sugar cravings hit, write down what you're feeling, write your emotional state. And you'll start to see themes of like, actually, every time I just feel a little bit lonely, I do actually reach for a bag of cookies, whatever it is for you. For me, my emotional one come in, it wasn't actually what I was feeling, it's what I was craving, it's what I needed. I have been a bit of an adrenaline junkie my whole life. I love just that excitement. I love just having that feel of being alive when you're doing stuff. So for me, when I went through having kids and stuff, and you're just in the mundane of looking after kids and doing washing, and there was no excitement in my life. It was just getting through. And that's when, for me, a lot of my sugar craving came back because I'd kind of worked on it, but it came back. I love mountain biking, so and going fast downhill. I love doing that. So if I had that, I don't crave chocolate or food or whatever it is, the sugar, because that sugar kind of gave my brain an excitement. It was like, oh, what am I going to have? This is cool. But by replacing it with actions, then those cravings didn't come up. So now I know that it's actually really cool. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, I'm just getting too mundane here. I need to create more excitement in my life and do other actions, and then the cravings don't show up. So sometimes it's not about just what you're feeling, it's about what you're missing. So understanding yourself, and it's just exploring, is when you are craving those foods, it's going, what is this giving me? Or what am I feeling that I'm trying to mask? What emotions do I feel? And it's kind of like, for me, I definitely excitement. It's like, oh yes, some chocolate, it's going to be great. So everybody's different. Exploring yourself, exploring what mental things are going on in your head, what loops are going on. That's the best way to go forward with the emotional side of things. So I have the download for this on, and it gives a little bit more details of everything. So whatever kind of resonated with you, go have a look at it, read a little bit more, understand where it shows up, understand then the things that you can put in place to help this. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to work on the underlying root cause. So then when it hits, if we've worked on the underlying cause, it's not going to hit. So it's not about finding that one thing that's going to solve everything. That often doesn't happen. Going through one step after another. So start with hydration, do that, get that out of the way, get your hydration sorted, because it's not only going to be great for sugar cravings, it's going to be great for you in general. Start there, and then start thinking about the other ones you can narrow your focus to. Just narrow your focus to one or two and see the actions that you can do. I'd say probably 99.9% of people, if I said, hey, let's quit sugar for 4 weeks, most people can do that. They've got their bigger enough reason why. But it's not just giving up for 4 weeks. It's actually how do you make those changes sustainable? And these 13 reasons are going to be the way that you make them sustainable, because once you understand that, hey, it's my microbiome, my gut calling out because that's the way the loop I'm in, and you just fix the microbiome, then it ceases to exist. Or if you know it's just sleep, for me, it's my sleep and my hormones. Those are the two major ones. So for me, I know that. So when it hits, it's not like, it's not getting down on myself or beating myself up. I know it's going to hit, and so I'm prepared. It's narrowing your focus to one of those two, writing it down what it is, and then working on that. And that's going to be your long-term strategy for not having sugar control your life, sugar control your cravings, and just sugar controlling everything, what's going on in your mind. So start there, because once you understand more, you can do better. So